cost analysis. So this is kind of really boring, but this is kind of what we're thinking about. So, and how we've been actually building it. So over there where you see customers accounting platform, a lot of the world just runs on QuickBooks, believe it or not. And you'll see that once QuickBooks is not enough, you'll see people who start to look at like, okay, where do I go from here, right? You see Xero out there, you'll see kind of like, NetSuite, and then that whole, hey, I need to adopt this ERP kind of question starts coming into play. So what we thought is like, okay, people are running on QuickBooks. At some point, if they need more controls, they can go to Xero. It's a really great software solution for them. The challenge is linking all this information that we have over here in terms of your inventory, what you've produced, how many people have produced that inventory, basically all of the numbers that you need in order to understand your finances, they're disconnected, right? And so what we've done is we've actually been building out our accounting module. So we've been building out this kind of glue between someone's finance system and Elevated Signals, where we're actually, if you're familiar with finance kind of concepts, they have their ledger, which has all the accounts that they might have on there, right? We're basically mapping these accounts, and we'll be looking at transactions that are going across both platforms and reconciling them and helping them understand kind of a few concepts. So when you look at your balance sheet as a financial person and you look at Elevated Signals, what you really need is you need to understand the value of your raw materials. You need to understand the value of WIP. So basically anything that's not raw materials and anything that's not a finished good, right? So if I think about this in terms of kombucha, raw materials is your ingredients like your sugar, your cans, your labels, like all that kind of stuff just sits in raw materials. Really boring stuff, but really important. Um, yeah, your culture. Uh, and then your WIP is basically, it's not actually in a finished can yet. It's not labeled. It's kind of in this in-between state of manufacturing. That's WIP. Work in progress. There you go. Thank you. So that's the balance sheet. And then there's this whole income statement aspect as well, right? Um, that's where you get your COGS. You're looking at, what you can deduct, that kind of stuff. There's different ways. Cost of goods sold. Thank you. Uh, so there's different ways to calculate this. It's there's even more than just this, but when we look into the market, look at people, what they're doing, there's kind of two main ones, but the weighted average one is that we really see in the industry. And that again is flowing the same type of principles where you got raw materials, work in progress, and finished goods, right? So really dry, but really important. If we just go back to that bigger picture, not being able to solve these two problems is what leads this cannabis industry to spend $100 million in ERP implementations, right? A lot of spreadsheets, a lot of manual labor just to try to figure out, the numbers behind their business. Millions and millions of dollars spent on these facilities, and you're trying to run it on a spreadsheet. So the other kind of side of the coin is that operations teams, right? Operations teams, they really struggle because there's a lot of planning involved in manufacturing any sort of product, right? And if you really kind of ask the question, like, how do you coordinate all of these people? How do you coordinate all of these processes of them basically shuffling things around within their facility, right? Like on skids, on conveyor belts, all that kind of stuff. How do you keep track of what's being manufactured? How do you know how much labor you need to bring in to manufacture that product? It's a very complex task and takes a lot of smart people, a lot of planning, and again, on a spreadsheet to figure this out, right? There's lots of better ways to do this, and again, another one of the reasons why people look at these ERP systems, these big systems, to do it. It's like whether you're like a Honda or a Toyota or something like that, right? Not really relevant to a business that does sub 100 million per year, right? We're not Toyotas, not Hondas. So it's really been about helping teams plan with planning. So in planning, there's a few different concepts that we would like to help with. So manufacturing to order, manufacturing to stock, and then helping them figure out how much material that they have, when are they going to run out of material, when do they need to reorder material. Manufacturing to order, that's basically a concept where, let's say Loblaws or Safeway or whoever comes to me and says, hey, I want this from you. I want like 1,000 cases of kombucha. They put in a purchase order. I got to fulfill that now. I got to like make that. I got to produce it. I got to get it to them on time. That's manufacturing to order. Manufacturing to stock is basically, I don't maybe necessarily have someone who's going to buy this from me yet, but I need to stock it in inventory so that when somebody says, hey, I want this, I have that for them. Usually for things that take a very long time to produce, like growing cannabis. It takes a while to produce it. You manufacture to stock that, but then for any products downstream, like pre-rolls or vape carts or anything like that, that's when you manufacture to order. You don't want to necessarily put all the labor into producing that thing until you really need to, you have the opportunity to sell it. So roadmap, what does that look like? We're looking to, the way to basically interpret this is the dotted line is the beta, and that actually should have been a solid line. But we're basically in Q4. We've been working on planning, so we're going to start deploying this in terms of a beta release to our customers that are looking at that. Standard costing, we'll be working on that. We'll be kind of getting it ready for a public release in Q1. Weighted average costing, that won't start until Q1.